This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Mothra vs. Godzilla, a monster attack action horror thriller kind of deal from 1964, directed by Ishiro Honda. If there's a better name for this genre, I haven't a clue what it is. Anyways, it obviously involves Godzilla, who returns as usual to destroy the heck out of Japan. This time, however, his human victims hope to have a giant monster of their own to help out. That is, they seek the help of Mothra, a large insect goddess whose egg has washed up on a Japanese beach after a typhoon, subsequently being sold by the locals to greedy businessmen who care more for profits than impending doom. As Godzilla ravages the countryside, a news reporter, his photographer assistant, two fairy caretakers, and several others band together to try to return the egg to Mothra before Godzilla has a chance to destroy it. The actual fighting between Mothra and Godzilla doesn't happen until later in the movie, I guess because the filmmakers thought there needed to be an extensive setup for why they were fighting. It's not a flimsy reasoning, though, as there is a lot going into the story that both sets up the larger stakes beyond the fight, specifically the egg and its safety, as well as the kind of theming and ideas which I felt were absent from the last Godzilla movie I saw. There's a pretty clear conflict between the environmentalism of protecting Mothra's egg and the exploitation of it and the locals by the businessmen, who are driven entirely by the prospect of a theme park built around the egg, as well as a few notions of nuclear destruction here and there. For the most part, it's kept pretty streamlined into a contemporary story of good versus evil, though I'm not entirely sure how its culmination into a giant monster fight fits the allegory. I mean, I'm not going to complain. Anyways, the story as a whole does a great job of escalating the stakes over time, making the world around the characters bigger and bigger, building upon the themes or the story arcs with a natural flow. Granted, there isn't a completely fleshed out set of characters, of course, but what we get works rather perfectly for the story being told. The technical production of this film is top-notch, and maybe even more so than in Godzilla Raids Again. There's a far clearer attention to scale and size this time around, made possible through special effects that shrink characters to fit their surroundings, in more than one case calling for custom set pieces that are also to scale. Cinematography does its best to make this believable, but the processing that needed to be done does expose the seams a little bit. Either way, the movie makes a great use of its widescreen frame, especially during the actual monster fight scenes, as it keeps Godzilla and Mothra in focus without ever losing sight of their actions. The film's score is also rather majestic, keeping well in line with the greater fantasy of the film, while still bringing the tension that comes with the Godzilla name. Other than all of that, though, there isn't too much else to be said about the film. Overall, it almost seems like the studio was zeroing in on the best formula for later Godzilla movies, and it's safe to say that with this film, they hit that right out of the gate. Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ishiro Honda, 1964. 3.5 stars. I'd recommend watching it yourself. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Come to think of it, I think there was a standalone Mothra movie made at one point. Probably before this movie came out. Yeah, and there was a movie with King Kong against Godzilla too. I wonder if this place just couldn't get a copy of those films or something.